Hello, my name is Brian Turner. I'm a poet and writer, musician, living in Orlando, Florida now. But I come from the San Joaquin Valley in California. I was born in Visalia, raised mostly in Fresno and in Madera. But actually, when I was a kid, we lived out in the country, north and east of those two cities. Out in cattle rangeland, right where sort of agricultural fields like orange groves and grape vineyards shifted into cattle rangeland. And we could see the snow-capped peaks of the Sierra Nevadas that Ansel Adams took photographs of in Yosemite, for example. But we lived in a place of just barren dirt landscape, the bottom of a dead sea. But the valley itself is one of America's great well springs of poetry. And there, generationally now, so many phenomenal and necessary voices have come out of there. I was lucky enough to be there among them and to learn from them and from many of them. Among them is Corrinne Clegg Hales. And I'd like to share a poem from her 2002 book, Separate Escapes. And this is how you spell her name. She goes by Connie. And Connie wrote this poem that really made me, impacted me in a lot of ways. And I didn't realize that I would need this poem to help me write a poem later. And so I'll follow up with a poem that I wrote that's in some ways in conversation with her poem from back then. It's called Elegy. That night in someone's father's shiny car at the A&W, when the loud, lowered Chevy pulls up next to them and the greaser boy driver starts yelling her name, this girl rolls up her window. She turns her careful face and says, no. That is not her brother slumped in the Chevy's back seat, a tightly rolled handkerchief held to his nose. It's not her brother who flashes a stupid, stoned grin when his buddy points her out. It's not her brother who everybody knows has racked up a record as long as a winter night by the time he could drive, who quit school to carry a knife and run the streets howling like a wolf. Her brother who relentlessly grinds his liver and his kidneys to nothing in a haze of airplane glue and alcohol and street barbiturates. Her brother who she has seen beaten almost to death by boys with bottles and chains, by policemen with leather-covered sticks, by his own father with a wooden kitchen chair or a 2x4 or the knuckles of his right hand. Her brother who used to tell her long and lovely stories late into the night, drowning out the shouting and crashing and sobbing from outside their bedroom door. Who used to brush tangles from her stringy yellow hair, braiding a sort of garland around her neck. Her brother who stood between her and the old man's rage time after time, taking the belt on his shoulders, his back, the slice of his face. Her brother whose skinny left leg was shot straight through at the ankle for stealing a gallon of gasoline from some cowboy's pickup truck. Her brother who will die hard on a slick patch of Montana highway before either one of them is grown. Her brother who has now climbed out of the Chevy, who leans on her new friend's foreign car with his turned-up collar, his low-slung jeans, his tattooed hands, saying something unintelligible through the glass, and the awkward laughter of her clean friends, already backing out onto the street, her brother watching, wiping his nose like a child with his fist. That's Elegy by Corrinne Clegg Hales from Separate Escapes. And then for a recent book of mine, the Goodbye World poem, there's a poem in here called Los Angeles. It's one of those things I have little memory of. My half-brother, a toddler, floating face down in the pool, his lips turned an awful shade of blue. Around us, the city slept on. A coastal fog rolled in as seagulls wheeled above, crying out in hunger. I'm told I saved him by climbing a flight of stairs to wake my exhausted young mother, a go-go dancer at a club in North Hollywood. What I remember are the Crown Royal bags full of her nightly tips, the snare drum I'd bang along to Iron Butterfly, drumming my heart out to that 2.5-minute solo on the extended jam of Inagata de Vida, the Summer of Love playing in the background. My little brother was raised by his own father in Buena Park, while our mother returned with me to the San Joaquin Valley. He lived with us once for a year when he was a 6th grader, setting fire to the dead grasslands around us, stealing a pistol from the neighbor's house, discharging a shotgun into the furniture, and chasing Ronald McCree with a can of hairspray and a lighter improvised into a blowtorch. The years would not be kind to him. He spent a couple of them under the California Youth Authority, in a series of halfway houses, a failed marriage, his own kids, my niece and nephews, doing time now, one of them on the run after an incident with a weapon and a stolen car. And he's back in Fresno, living on the streets, with pills and crystal meth searing through his veins. And I have to wonder, who is he, this brother of mine? Because that little boy floating in the pool long ago, he never really made it out. A part of him died right there in the water, and I didn't save him at all. And I haven't, to this day, ever really met the man I call my little brother, that blue-lipped child who was a toddler when he fell in, only 14 months younger than me. And what the hell did we know about water, or air, or drowning, or anything at all? Thank you very much, folks.